Part 3 of this module explores the various data methods. At this point, you might be asking yourself, what data types and tools do I use? Data collection can oftentimes seem intimidating, particularly on top of numerous classroom responsibilities. In the coming slides, we're going to explore a variety of templates and examples in order to determine which type of data you will need to answer specific targeted questions and make adjustments when needed. These templates and examples will also allow you to create and organize an efficient and effective data collection system. The first type of data is considered general academic. It can include informal observation tools such as grade level sight words, timed math computations, and number, letter, and color recognition. It also can include curriculum-based assessments or curriculum-based measurements. These often are used to identify a baseline level and growth data points. Examples the district has used in the past or currently uses at the time of this module's recording are Eduphoria, AimsWeb Plus, Brigance, iStation, Dreambox, and BAS assessments. It also can include student interviews and observations, portfolios, and work samples. Let's look at a couple examples and/or templates. The first one we're going to look at is a blank template. You would fill out the goal and objective information on the left and provide this to whomever is collecting the data. He or she, or you, can store the data virtually each time or on printed paper. The level of mastery criteria column is where the percent accuracy or the blank out of blank trials data would go. The evaluation code column indicates what method you use to collect the data. Generally, a code key can be found on the bottom of the data tracker for quick reference. Another blank example is from Frontline or eSped itself. You can pre-populate the student's goals and objectives into a blank template. This is an example of what it will look like once the program puts in the information. The next example is from the book, The Data Collection Toolkit by Cindy Golden. Whenever the resource is from this book, we have provided you a blank template, instructions on how to use it from the book, and a completed example if possible. These work analysis charts are intended to be printed on mailing labels or even copied and cut out for a small stack. They can be edited using an Adobe program to make them more individualized to your needs. The intent is to track the student's work sample mastery, but also to include what the student needed extra in order to be successful. If it's a label or a sticker, the parent can also see that the student may have made 100% on the worksheet, but use specific accommodations to achieve that. Next, we have another template from the Toolkit book called Academic Progress Monitoring. Let's look at the paper version first. On this one, the teacher would write the goal in the subject area, and as tracking is completed, list each intervention that is used. On the graph, the teacher would write in the data source and date, and then graph the data point. In the completed example below, the math goal tracked 3 objectives. The teacher used a different color for each objective in order to track them separately. The vertical dash line is when an intervention, such as a problem-solving checklist, was introduced. This template allows for easy analyzation of the data. We also have created a Google-fied version of the same concept. You can copy and paste as many red dots as necessary, move the dash intervention line around and/or copy more, and move the green mastery line to where it should be on the graph. Here is a completed example as well. Another example of a general academic data tool is a written expression data tool. This document gives a plethora of ways that writing can be assessed and transferred to data numbers. I'm going to scroll through a little bit of it for you. Finally, another template and example is through the use of Google Forms. Here we have the template, and the data collector would input the necessary skills needing to be tracked. Then that person would share it at least weekly with the necessary staff. Another type of data tool is YesNo Data. This is used in order to do a quick check for the presence of a skill and independence of a skill. Oftentimes, this type of data is used in correlation with the general academic types and tools. The first one we want to look at is the IEP Goal Mastery Quick Graph. You'll notice that the goals and objectives can be written on the left, and the yes or no boxes, according to mastery, are completed on the right. In this example, the first is reading. In 36 instructional weeks, when given grade level text, Jennifer will state the main idea correctly in 5 out of 6 trials. The teacher shaded the yes box on January 16th. A week later, the student must not have stated it at least 5 out of 6 times, so the no box was shaded. Below, we have a math example. In 36 instructional weeks, when given word problems, Sam will write equations involving decimals, percents, fractions with 70% accuracy in 4 out of 5 trials. Instead of shading the yes and no boxes, the teacher wrote in the percent accuracy that Sam received. That way, the teacher can track the yes or no with more specific data. If the teacher were to turn the paper sideways, a graph would indicate an overall mastery level. The neat thing about any of the quick graph resources from Cindy Golden's book is that they're a self-graphing data collection tool that lightens the load by allowing you to create visual graphs while collecting raw data. This helps easily analyze the data and use it when collaborating and communicating. Another example is a yes-no quick graph only. You would write in the overall goal to the designated area. Then you would write in the objectives under the objectives task or column. In this example, one of the objectives is to begin the assignment within 5 minutes of receiving it. The person collecting the data would then list the date and if the student achieved the mastery. So, yes, or did not achieve it, so no. You'll notice the data collector wrote in the minutes the student did achieve when the no was circled. On the other side of the template, you would total the number of yeses and the number of no's. By doing this, you can quickly see the overall mastery and have a graph for analyzation. Another type of data tool are rubrics. They provide a format to have both qualitative and quantitative data. They also provide a tracking process towards mastery for the student, teacher, and even parents. The students typically take ownership of their learning when familiar with how to use the rubric. Our first template and example comes from the data collection toolkit again. The teacher would complete the topic or directions space, often including the writing prompt. The teacher would then write in the level descriptions for each column and row. Then he or she can score the rough draft and the final draft to demonstrate the need for the editing process. Here is a completed example. Another template and example is a reading fluency rubric. The guidance provided to the teacher includes directions and 6 areas of fluency that are assessed, such as pausing, phrasing, stress, intonation, rate, and integration. The last template we'll look at for rubrics are proficiency scales. This template can be used for any assignment, assessment, or skill being measured. Schools that use proficiency scales on a consistent basis generally have a campus-wide scale so that students understand what each level corresponds to. Students are able to monitor their academic achievement by looking at the scale. For example, if a student were to receive a 1 or a 2, that often indicates to the student that they should receive intervention or tutorials for that skill. The last type of data tool we're going to look at is task analysis. This is when you take the overall task or skill and break it down into more discrete tasks or skills. Oftentimes, prompt levels are recorded. Please remember that prompts can include verbal and also gestures and full physical, which could be hand over hand, for example. This data tool is more often used in the functional classrooms, such as for cleaning a kitchen, but it can be used for behavior and some academic tracking as well. Let's look at the work sample task analysis chart again. On page 2, you'll notice that the entries are now tailored to the prompt level needed for the student to complete the assignment or assessment. Again, you can open any PDF in certain Adobe products and edit the text boxes in order to individualize. The next template we're going to look at is the Task Analysis Quick Graph. Let's look at the predetermined levels first. On the completed example, you will notice that the objective box was completed with a task, such as cleaning the kitchen. Since cleaning a kitchen has many tasks within that overall one, it is broken into discrete task steps at the bottom, such as put food away, throw away the trash, and wash the dishes. This graph has predetermined that the prompt levels go from 0, being no attempt with prompts, to level 4, being independent and no assistance necessary. You'll see that the pretest data is the baseline data, and after several months, or about 18 weeks, there is a post-test data point. On the blank levels template, you are able to enter your own levels and a description. This can also be used as a quantitative rubric and does not have to be used with just prompt levels. If using it for a rubric, the discrete tasks might be the different parts of the writing process or steps in a process to solving a word problem for math. Another way it could be used is if the student's IEP goal has to do with decreasing the amount of verbal prompts or assistance in setting up a word problem correctly, or being reminded to edit their work before turning in the assignment. Lastly, we have a prompt levels quick graph. Let's look at the predetermined levels example first. You'll notice that the overall task is to learn basic functional skills. The objectives have been broken down into wash hands, dry hands, and comb hair. The prompt levels on this graph are more than just verbal reminders or assistance. The prompt key in the top left corner is pre-populated with the different types of prompts the student uses. The teacher then shaded in all of the different levels of prompts used each time data was collected on a task. Another teacher only graphed one prompt level in the hierarchy, as shown in the line graph. The blank template is only included so that the teacher can individualize it as much as needed. After collecting data and progress monitoring, feedback should be given. It can be given on assignments, assessments, and goal progress. It can be in writing, virtually, or in person. It can be individualized to one person or given to a whole group. By providing targeted and meaningful feedback, it helps to hold students accountable, makes them realize you care about their progress, and provides them with actionable steps on how to develop their skills. The last step is to make decisions. This brings us back to our process wheel. Decision making is a part of every step and action taken during the IEP process. As a final thought, there is only one difference between progress monitoring with in-person instruction and virtual learning, and that is the method which is used. Again, the SPED Instruction internal website not only has the resources linked in this presentation, but a variety of other data sources available. Everything from Google Forms, graphs, and printout style sheets are some of the available resources available. We welcome any teacher-made data collection resources in order to continue to build our resource library. If you have any questions or comments after taking this module, please feel free to reach out to your SPED instructional coach for your VLC. Happy data collecting!